Patrick Du Pré was just a teenager in 1969 when the first banquet of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame was held in Old Municipal Auditorium. But by that time, he was on track to become a tennis star, and today he becomes the first tennis player to be honored by this Hall of Fame.
Pat Du Pré's professional tennis career started in 1976, smack dab in the middle of the most popular era of the game, when names like Borg, Connors, and McEnroe dominated the men's scene. It was a glamour game where finesse, touch, and strategy were the keys over the power surge of the 90s. Pat Du Pré fit in perfectly, to no one's surprise, who saw him grow up at Mountain Brook High School, winning the state singles title 3 straight years. From there, numerous junior titles took him to Stanford University, where he was an All-American 4 straight years. Pat Du Pré is arguably the biggest name in collegiate tennis. After turning pro, it didn't take long for Pat to climb into the rankings, going from 100 to the top 30 in 6 short years, and in 1979, he reached the semifinals of the world's top event, Wimbledon. That's where he put his home state on the map for something besides the pigskin.
From Birmingham, Alabama. And watch that forehand. There's no way for Beatus to get it, and he is swallowed by court 2. Pat Du Pré. Had you heard of him before?
Pat Du Pré, the youngster, lost his first set, was down 4-0 to Adriano Panatta. But he tied the match at 2 sets each. We're now in the 5th set, and now Panatta is forced to serve to save the match.
Center court. This has sometimes been compared to a church, a sanctuary, but today it's been like a revival tent. A transplanted Roman chorus in standing room serenading their man, Panatta, trying to drive him on against the man right here, Patrick Marie Du Pré from Birmingham. Undoubtedly the greatest player in the history of Birmingham. 8 o'clock this evening. The crowd has been chanting Adriano, Adriano, but now they're silent. Match point. It's out. Strong! Pat Du Pré from nowhere into the Wimbledon semifinals. First day you knocked out Beatus Gerulaitis. A lot of first day flukes around here, but suddenly Pat Du Pré is real. Do you feel that way about it?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I didn't consider my win over Gerulaitis a fluke. I've played him many times before, and I'd always had a good record against him. And that gave me a lot of confidence on the grass. And actually, the last few matches, I should have been the favorite anyway. I've played guys who I'm ranked ahead of on the computer, and
you're not surprised then to be here?
No, I'm not surprised. Well, the win over Panatta was probably an upset.
What about the crowd, Pat? Did they jar you with all their chanting and cheering?
They were probably, yeah, they were affecting me at the beginning. I wasn't quite into the scene whatsoever at the beginning. They kept me off balance, but I think it worked out better for me in the end because I put a lot more pressure on Panatta, and the English crowd was really for me.
Pat's dream ended the next day against fellow American Roscoe Tanner in the semifinals. Interestingly enough, it was Tanner's first win over Du Pré in 6 meetings. 1979 was his finest year. Not only a semifinalist at Wimbledon, but a quarterfinalist at the U.S. Open, and a singles finalist in 4 other Grand Prix events. 2 years later at the U.S. Open, Du Pré would be showcased on national TV against the world's #1 player, John McEnroe. The magic he produced at Wimbledon wouldn't happen on that afternoon, but the respect Pat Du Pré earned from his peers for his all-around game, singles and doubles, on all surfaces, grass, clay, and hard courts, was unparalleled. He was the consummate professional who let his racket do the talking. Over the years, this Alabama Globetrotter has beaten the game's best. Lindell, McEnroe, Vilander, Gerulaitis, Ashe, Newcomb, Laver, and Rosewall all fell to Alabama's greatest tennis talent. Today, Pat Du Pré is head pro at Old Overton in Vestavia. Before that, he was pro at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. No question, Pat Du Pré is deserving of his Hall of Fame stature. Simply put, he has no other peers on the tennis courts from our state. He is the greatest tennis player to ever call Alabama home. Enough said. Pat Du Pré, welcome to the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.